Alright, I'm starting off just in an architectural template here. This is the video for Tuesday, February 16th. We're going to just keep building upon some of the curtain wall systems that we were looking at the end of last week. So here under wall, I'm going to go down and find a curtain wall and just draw myself a kind of simple corner condition, 30 foot by 30 foot, something like that. Make a couple of new views, a 3D view, and in elevation, just to look at some of the details as we're building upon this. In the 3D view here, just want to cover a couple of things that might be useful as you were looking at stores and also at the Center City Building Gallery, thinking about the profile conditions for these wall types. So one thing that I want to start off showing is just the double door that's at the top of the window type X on the second floor of stores. If you want to put that double door in, you do it just the same as you did the single door. I'm going to show you just a different way to kind of use some of the systems that are overarchingly built into the curtain wall. It really wants to use just a grid, and we're going to look at ways that we can get beyond that. But the way in which we were drawing the curtain grid here using the curtain grid system before is not the only way to put a grid onto a panel. You can also come in here under Edit Type, and there are vertical and horizontal grid definitions that you can use to actually define more or with more specificity and automation. So I can come in and define, say, a maximum spacing or a minimum spacing or a fixed number of panels. Here, roughly around 5 foot spacing is what it's going to do. So if I switch both of these to fixed number, it's going to put the number of elements in based on the size of the panel that I was asking for. And you can see how, because I was changing it as a family type, it's going to do all of those. So you need to be careful about duplicating the curtain wall system if you're going to be applying this in different ways around your building. So again, if I didn't want that to be consistent all the way around, I'd select this, hit Edit Type again, and hit Duplicate, and say this is fixed number, and say OK, and OK. And if I want to now go back in and start making another curtain wall without that association, I can use curtain wall 1. And although you can see it here, I had already saved those settings. I can go back in, Edit Type, and change these back to either fixed distance or none is what they were at before if I wanted to be able to draw my grid. So really be careful with how you change wall types, especially with the curtain wall system, because you're going to be, it prompted me to delete the grid, and I told it not to, which is fine. We'll come in here and actually use the grid just to look at that double storefront. So again here, just to reinforce some of the things we were doing, I'm just going to go in and remove a couple of these grid lines in the system. Using the Add Remove Segments button, I'm going to make a double wide opening in the wall that then I'll be able to replace with a door. A double door. And so once I've got the opening here, I can go ahead and apply the mullions to all grid lines like this, and then tab through again, and you can see how there's two pieces to the base mullion here. Tab through and select both of those to get rid of them, so that I'm just left with this panel. Again, I can tab to select it. Now I need to insert the other door type, so I'm going to go to Insert and Load Family. Come back up to my US Imperial, and I'm going to go into doors here and find the double storefront, which would be, we had loaded just the single glass door before. If I do the double storefront, you can see this comes with the mullion system already built in. Now once I've got that loaded into the project here, I can select that panel and scroll down until I can find that double storefront door, and you can see how it brings it in. If I change the detail level, you can actually see the door handles there in the system. And obviously these are a little wide. I probably need to adjust my grid, but That would be how you'd get a kind of simple system in there. You could adjust the door handles, or we'll talk later on about how to adjust the door handles to say match what we've got in stores, although they're always kind of chalked open at that location up on the second floor. Anyway, that's one way to do the kind of panel system, or to adjust the panel system. Just to take a look at some of the detail in the double curtain wall storefront door. Here you can see how we can set the offset, which would be how it associates itself with the glazing system, where we can set materials, and the kind of thickness of different components inside of here. And then we can dig in later, and we will, into the details of those doors. Okay, so back over here, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this one. Back over here, I want to also take a look at some of the other controls that you can see built into the base curtain wall system. One here, the angle that you can kind of control for a particular wall. I can turn the angle of say just the verticals, or say the verticals and the horizontals, to make more of a diagrid kind of shape across the surface. So it's one way to start playing with that. We're going to look at other ways to do diagrids with bigger elements and across the larger curtain wall systems. But certainly one way to start controlling it with that, the grid with more specificity. Now, like I was saying earlier, the curtain wall system tends to really want to only use grids. It really is tied to the grid in a very specific kind of way. So if you ever wanted to have mullions that weren't on the grid, there's a bit of a workaround that you have to use. And what you do for that is to take the wall that you've been working on that has a conventional grid, and I'm going to copy it. So I'm going to hit Control C, and then I'm going to go to paste and paste align to same place. I'm going to get an error because there's already a wall in that location. I'll select that and hit the elevation that I'm working on, and I'm also going to hit the sunglasses down here to isolate the elements so that everything goes away. And then I'm going to hit Edit Profile. This is how you should have edited the profile for the wall system in the gallery. And I'm just going to draw a couple of curves here to kind of do, a system that would be a little bit different using curve profiles. So I'll kind of do it like that. Now, as I was talking about at the end of the day with the diagonal cut across the gallery in Center City, you have to make sure that this profile is still complete. So I'm going to go through and use Trim Extend to get rid of some of these elements going around. And I'm going to trim that guy. And then I need to come in and just delete these. So again, the point is that you have a complete grid, or you have a complete profile that's clean and finished, and it's going to give you an error if you don't. So you can see here I already had the grid lines laid in there for the other piece. I'm going to want to get rid of those because those are going to come through on the profile. So I'll pop back out into 3D view here. And again, I want to just isolate this so that I can go in here and control these elements. So the original grid lines here, I can just go in and delete individually. Oop. And then I'll hit the sunglasses again to reset the temporary hide. So now when I apply mullions to both of these systems, so I'll just hit mullion, all grid lines, select that, and then hit the football shape and do the same thing. That's a way to kind of fake Revit out and actually get more control over, say, a kind of inlay into the mullion system for some kind of pattern that you may want as you're working with it. Because beyond using the profile or the exterior control of the curtain wall system, you're not going to be able to do any curves inside with the actual grid. So the curtain grid is really controlling, right? It only allows you to rotate, control by number and spacing. It's very limited. So the only way to add in other mullion shapes is to use the exterior profile of whatever the curtain panel is that you're putting in to the wall system. So you can fake it out by putting two walls in the same location in order to get this kind of condition. Okay, so the main part that I want to deal with today is looking at how we can use this to really start to create more interesting kinds of wall systems, more complex kinds of wall systems by using profiles. So what we're going to do is go ahead and put a sunshade system onto this corner wall condition that I've got made here with these two walls. So what I want to do is come back up here into level. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and put mullions on this other diagonal system. I'm going to take the rotates out by hitting these back to 0 and apply. I'll just grab that and go ahead and put mullions on all the grids. There we go. So here in the plan view now, what I want to do is just offset these two walls. I'm going to offset them 1 foot, so you can see up here I've got that defined as 1 foot. And you can see how it automatically kind of finishes and connects them to one another. And now I am going to go in and get rid of the existing grid system that's on here. So in 3D, I'm just going to isolate this guy. And I'm going to select 1 mullion and then say select all instances visible in view and hit delete. And I'm going to leave the grid there as it is because I'm going to continue to use that one. And then I'll hit reset, and on the other system do the same thing. I probably don't need to actually isolate. I just need to get I do. Visible in view is going to get all of them. So I do need to isolate this element and hit tab till I've got that mullion selected. And again, right clicking on it and say select all, visible in view, and hit delete. And then hit the sunglasses again and reset. So using these two systems, what I want to do is actually create a new mullion profile that'll create kind of a sun fin that we can use on the system. This sun system, probably won't cover the entire curtain wall. We probably want it to go up, say above, above where people are going to be walking through this. So I'm going to offset the base up. Let's do 6 foot 8 inches for both of these. To get those two curtain walls kind of floating up above the doorway where anybody might be working. And you can see I had the unconnected height for both of these set to 20 feet. So we can always adjust all of this stuff by controlling where the levels are at. So instead of changing this to match the 6 foot 8 that I just moved it up, what I'm going to do is change where level 2 is in this elevation. So I'm going to make this level 2 actually set to 20 feet. And now I'm going to come back and select all these curtain wall systems. And so I'll select one and again select all instances in view and change these so that the top constraint is up to level 2. And I missed one there. Okay. So now if I look in 3D, I've got this existing system that goes up to 20 feet, and now I've got my two systems I'm going to use to make my sunshade on the other sides. So So the next part of this is to make this new profile that we're going to use just in the horizontal condition. So to do that, I'm going to go back out to my user interface. So I'm hitting the View tab and then User Interface and Recent Files. And I'm going to open a new family template. So we'll come out here to Family Templates in English 1. It's not letting me. Sorry, I want to hit New, and then it'll allow me to open a template. And profiles are something that can be used for all sorts of, they are used for all sorts of things. So, as I keep trying to point out along the way, basically every piece of geometry inside of Revit is made from a conceptual mass. They're all just extrusions or sweeps of a single profile. And all those profiles are stored inside of Revit so you can adjust them. That's going to apply obviously to mullions as we've been using them, but also to handrails, to stair profiles, to slab conditions where a slab turn down happens with a flooring system, to roof elements, to soffits. Pretty much everything you can sort of imagine is dealt with using profiles that then are extruded. Just like when we were making conceptual masses, it just happens at the detail level rather than at the building level. We're going to start here with just the dumb profile, the profile template. And all it brings up is just two reference lines. Those reference lines are simply going to provide us the orientation we need for extruding this solar fin. I'm going to start off just drawing some lines. All we're doing is drawing a profile here. So I'm just going to give a center line that we can reference off of things. Let's make the profile, say 14 inches deep. And then I'm going to offset that line up here. I'm going to change the offset to 1 inch. And we're just going to offset both sides and then offset each of those again another inch. And these are really just guidelines that I'm using now that I'm going to come back. Now I'm going to come back and actually draw some kind of diagonal shapes. So from the 2 inch line back to the 1 inch on the other side. And then again with the detail lines, you can see there's other ways to draw lines. I'm going to use the center arc radius, or an arc that's driven by center and radius, which means you click on the start of the line, the end of the line, and then define the radius. So start, end, radius. And I'm just going to make these nice and kind of clean circular lines. Again, as with before, this has to be a closed profile, right? So it's only going to work, and you're going to get errors if you leave any lines in there that aren't part of an actual closed polyline, right? So this thing has to be really, really simple. I'm going to hit save now. I need to save this. I'm going to save it as, sorry, I already had one made, Sunfin 2, just to my desktop, or you may want to make a folder of profiles, of custom profiles that you want to use. And now we're going to load that profile into the project. So back in 3D here, what I can do is select one of my walls, and I'm going to hit edit type here, and we're going to duplicate this type and call it curtain wall sunfin and say OK. And I want to apply this wall type to both conditions. So I'm going to select the other piece of my wall type, or my system type here, hit edit type, and find the sunfin one and hit OK. We're going to leave the grid line in there for now. Okay, so now that I've got that sunfin defined for the sunfin wall type defined for both curtain walls, I'm going to go back in and continue editing it. So the thing that I want to use now is to come down here to the horizontal mullion types. And this is where I'm going to define basically a mullion condition that actually is a sunfin. So we're going to use the kind of controls of a curtain wall to make something that's not a curtain wall. And when I hit the drop down for this, I should be able to scroll down. I can't find that profile yet. Let's go back to the profile and make sure we got it defined correctly. Oh, I already closed it. Let's open that back up. So here in the profile, before I load it into the project, it's going to be important that I define where the use of this profile is intended to be. And you can see here under the properties drop down, there's a little drop down where I can choose from all of those things that I was just describing. It could be a wall, could be a stair tread, could be stair support, riser, nosing, a metal deck profile, slab edges for floors where you're turning down a foundation element, a reveal, a railing. A reveal might be kind of cutting away at a wall system, a mullion, a gutter, a fascia, so on and so forth. Obviously, we want to use mullion, hit apply, and then load it into the project. Overwrite your existing version. Okay, so now back in our system here, we should be able to select our curtain wall sun fin and again hit edit type. Scrolling down, here we can find the horizontal mullion type, and it's still not there. Let me figure this out. All right, even though we've defined that that mullion as a mullion profile, we still need to go and define the mullion type. So sorry about the slowdown there. Back under architecture, where the mullion system is here, well, all we've got is a grid again right now. If I just isolate this, all I've done is lay out the grid. I haven't applied any mullions to the curtain panel. And so here under the mullion tab, normally we'd hit the all grid lines. Instead, I'm going to come in here and hit edit type and duplicate this rectangular type and call it sunfin. To make a new mullion type from the profile family that we created. So again, one more layer here just in terms of the family organization for the curtain wall system. Simply having a profile doesn't actually make the mullion. You got to make the mullion based on the profile that we drew. So I've duplicated a typical rectangular mullion, and now I can come in here to find the profile, which is what we actually loaded, and load it in as a sunfin number 2. Hit OK, and now I can come back to my curtain wall system and hit edit type and define just the horizontal mullions as being the sunfin profile. So there you can see rectangular mullion, sunfin 2, and I'm going to do this for both the interior. So when it says interior, that doesn't mean like interior or exterior. That means the grid lines that are on the inside of the profile. And the border is going to be around the border of the grid line of the curtain wall that you have. So this is simply defining interior as these conditions here, and borders as being border 1 and border 2 up and down the side. Obviously, we don't have any border 2 that are horizontal, but we're still going to go through and just define all these as sunfin 2 all the way through. And there we go. Now we get our sunfins brought in. You can tell here at first the problem is that they're rotated incorrectly in this condition. But if I select this and again come back into edit type, I should be able to rotate those mullions. Let me see if I just select the mullion itself, hit edit type, and there's an angle constraint here where I can rotate it 90 degrees. Hopefully that's going the right direction. Yes, looks like we're good. And you can see I've still got the curtain panel in there. So it's another piece of this that I need to go in and get rid of. So I'll hit edit type, and under the curtain panel definition, again, these are things that are applied to the entirety of the family. So every time I'm making one of these changes, it's applying to all of the curtain walls that are called curtain wall sunfin. It's important to be conscientious of that. I'm going to scroll down here and find, doesn't look like it's loaded yet, an empty panel type. So I'm going to have to pop back out and go to insert and load family. Again, we're going to go find this curtain wall panels and there's an empty panel type, which basically will define those panels as being empty, literally not there. So now I can come back to the curtain panel type here and find those empty ones. Say OK. So now I'm just left with my sun system, and I can reset and find that my grid is a little bit off between the two panel systems. Looks like getting to line up there, but not here. So let's see what's going on there. This one, offset 6/8, got 4 and 4, 6/8. Let's see what this one is. I think it's a carryover of the grid lines from before on the curtain wall. Yeah, it looks like these guys are shifted off from one another. So if I come into the curtain grid system here on this guy, I should be able to add in more horizontals to match the profiles. And you can see how it'll snap to them of the ones around the corner. And I can also come in and delete. Should be able to remove the ones, the extra one that I've got here. So it's pinned right away. If I hit the pin, then I can hit delete. I could also select this and hit remove segments, and that would also allow me to remove those fins. If we look at this in the shaded view, now you can see I've applied this kind of shade system to the to two different wall systems, right? So I've got one that's the traditional mullion, the vapor barrier, and thermal barrier for my building type, and then I've applied another one to the face. I'm still missing the kind of horizontal mullions that I might use to hold this thing up. So we still need to come back in here and edit this wall type to add in some structure. So I'm going to select one of these, hit edit type, and just as we did with the horizontal mullions, we're going to come back with the vertical mullions. This time we're just going to apply, let's go with the 2.5 by 5 inch rectangular. And this is going to apply it across the entire grid. And again, we want the border going all the way down through this. And you can see what that does is it kind of chops up the system so that it's inserting some structure in where the horizontals would be. So we could look at ways to sort of edit the 2.5 by 5 inch profile to maybe take it all the way back to the other curtain wall, or to create some kind of structure, or we could even just move these back. So you can see here in level 1 I can't actually see both wall systems, but if I select, I'm looking from above at both of these now. I'm going to edit the crop view to get up above to where I can actually see this. So I'm going to change this up to 7 feet. So now I'm cutting through both. So it was level 1, and I just edited the view range. I'm going to select this wall. So I've got a 5 inch deep mullion here and a 5 inch deep mullion here. So if I change this to be a 5-inch offset. Adding the two of those together, then I'm going to get a nice clean profile. You can see our grid still isn't quite lined up. We need to go back and adjust that. But if I select the wall before trying to adjust the dimension, then it'll know what element to move in order to snap these into place. So now I've got an extra kind of mullion hanging off of here. I could also make this a part, the sun system, a part of the mullion grid or the mullion system of the original wall rather than doing it as a separate piece. So there's a variety of different ways that you can kind of tackle this kind of system, this kind of logic, using curtain walls to do new sorts of profiles. All right, that's it for this. Thanks.